How do you see the D-line coming along right now?
I'm really happy with the progress we're making for the first few 7 practices. The really important thing for us is, as I watched tape from last year, I think we had to do a better job of blocking out offensive linemen, controlling the line of scrimmage, and then being able to take the next step and make a play that not necessarily may be their gap. So that's something that I've really been trying to stress, and Coach Snow and the defense have really been trying to stress this spring.
Who's been standing out to you?
Well, I think one of the players that is really, for me, across the holding line, is taking the next step is James Lockhart. He's done a really great job of understanding who he is as a player. That's been the biggest dynamic and mental evolution for him, to understand who he is as a player and try to work and making that a little bit better each and every day. He's coming out, he's starting to be more vocal as a leader, and that's translating through our defensive line now, so that's helping pull everyone along to take that next step.
Is that kind of a process to have players learn that there's 1 or 2 areas where they can be really good as opposed to the all-around package that maybe they see on Sundays? They kind of have to identify their strength.
That's something I think football maturity, I guess you can call it, a maturation process, where they really understand, okay, I'm pretty good in the run game. What do I have to do to become a 5 to 10 sack guy? What do I do well that has to happen so I can take the next step? And so for each player like him or Lynch in that matter, they're all working on those things to try to take that next jump, the next step. Just it takes attention and detail, and then allowing yourself to be coached really hard about those details, not get sensitive about it, and just try to continue to grow and press more moving forward.
Neadre, I guess he's made a pretty solid impact so far.
He's a great kid. Out of Massachusetts, we found him at Monroe Junior College. He's come in, tried to learn the defense, buying into the culture, what we believe in the brand of being tough, hardworking, and competitive. And, just as far as a pure, raw athlete, his numbers off the charts, we have to get that to translate to effective and dynamic football.
You've been around for a year now. What has been a couple of the biggest lessons that you learned, and do you feel obviously you're settled in at this point, but just how do you feel going into another year?
I think the biggest thing for me is understanding and trusting the process as a coach. When you're a coach, you have these kind of goals that you want to accomplish, and you try to move everything forward at a certain pace, and you have to realize that pace is determined by you, but also by your players. And so being able to work hand in hand with those guys and making sure that the product we're pushing out there consistently is moving and driving our defense forward, that's something I had to become a little bit more patient with for myself as a coach. But as far as working on with the staff and now getting to work with Coach McGuire, who's a legend in his own right, has allowed me some more flexibility and it allowed me to become more detailed, especially those interior techniques.
So when they approached you and said, hey, Joey's going to come over here with you, what was your reaction and how much fun has that been?
Well, luckily I'd known Coach McGuire for a while and recruited his school at Cedar Hill and saw the job he did with his defense. So really, we just try to pick up and work off each other, allow each other to be comfortable in what we're doing, and just really, with no egos in that room, the goal is to get the D-line better. So he's been awesome to have in our room.
I covered T.J. Franklin in high school, and I've seen him yesterday with guys who have been here for 4 years, and he's bigger than some of those guys. So he's got the size, but what have you noticed from him early on?
The thing that stands about him is his competitiveness. He wants to be good, and he works at it day in and day out. And for a kid that's still supposed to be taking health classes senior semester and this year, he's doing a great job of competing every day. I had him try to run him with the ones to see what he can do, and run him with the twos. He's just a guy that I think, because he came in early, gave himself a great chance to, as long as he continues to progress, play early for us in our defense and our scheme.
James Lynch had an outstanding year last year. How have you seen him get better, and what does he have to do to make that next step?
Well, the next step for James, to me, is I want him to become the most violent player in our defense. I think that is the next jump for him, because he has great elite athleticism and quickness, cat-like quickness. He's able to maneuver around people. When he adds that brand of physicality to his game, he's going to be unstoppable.
Coach, with Bravion sitting out, who's taking over kind of the leadership on the D-line as far as leading the other guys?
Right now, though, I would say James Lockhart has really stepped into that. Lynch is slowly becoming more vocal. That's a place or area that I would still want to see him continue to grow and step out a little bit more to really pull those guys along with him. But him and then Chidi Obanai, Rob Solid, some of the redshirt sophomores, that third-year players that haven't played a lot, they're starting to become more vocal. They want to be good. They want to be impact players for our team this year, so they're becoming more vocal in that process.
Rob got thrown to the fire as a true freshman. He just had to play, and now he's bounced around a little bit, but it seems as though he's starting to settle in with you guys a little bit. But what about Rob's work ethic have you seen, and how is he sort of fitting in?
The great thing about Rob is his versatility, and the thing that I really think is standing out is for a man his size, he's really quick. He's able to maneuver around offensive linemen when it comes to pass rush, to stunting, blitzing. He's a really good player on the move. I still want him to get stronger at the point of attack as far as holding blocks and not necessarily avoiding blocks. So that's an area I want to see him improve. But the jump he's made from last year to this year, I think it's significant enough that it's going to be noticed by anybody who watches our defensive line play.
How much has the strength and conditioning improved even from, I mean, guys have to grow as they get older, but how much of a difference do you notice as size-wise?
You know, when you look out there, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I got, 2 6'5", 6'6" guys out there, and the interior guy that have great length and great strength. So it's going to be something for, opposing people that got to kind of prepare for as long as those guys continue to grow.
Is getting more sacks, is that still pounded in everybody's head every day?
Yeah, I mean, this is the Big 12. This is a league where it's offense and quarterbacks and play action pass and deep ball. So the D-line has to be able to stop the run and make teams one-dimensional. And when you do that, you have to win on edges and get to the quarterback. So that's always going to be an issue in this conference, and that's always going to be something that we stress in our program.
How proud were you to see Greg and the rest of the guys out there doing their thing yesterday?
It was really awesome to see, specifically for Greg. He's a guy that I've, followed, went back and watched some of his old tape. Actually, coached against him when I was at Rice, and seeing him in Iowa and the progress they've made preparing themselves for the next level has been huge. And being able to come out here and perform and put up the numbers that you want to do and really compete at a high level to give yourself a chance to continue to play, I was just really happy for those guys to kind of have some finality of this training situation, and hopefully, some of those guys get their name called on when the draft comes around.
Coach, thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.